Hello to all. The information I'm about to read you is taken from www.exposingchristianity.com. The Christian Mass and how it ties into Jewish ritual murder. Due to centuries of the vehement suppression of spiritual knowledge, most people are not only unaware of, but also they are unable to see certain truths. This is the enemy's way of conquering. By creating a blind spot on the soul where one is spiritually disarmed, the so-called sixth sense is lacking in most people, and in many others it is completely absent. Millions of unfortunate people are and have been deceived by the Christian and Muslim programs, both of these whose sole intention is to destroy spiritual knowledge and replace it with lies for the destruction of humanity and every other living creature on this earth. The Judeo-Christian Bible warns its believers regarding the power of the mind and of witchcraft, so that one is unable to see through the blatant lies that are right there every day. The Jews who are parasites by nature have always used Gentiles as their spiritual hosts to feed them. No, different from the alien Greys who use their collection of souls to feed from. Many of you are already familiar with Jewish ritual murder. During the times of Jewish holidays, top rabbis will abduct Gentile children and use them in their ritual sacrifices to Jehovah. The child is taken to a secret back room of a synagogue, tied to a cross, and then tortured to death with the blood draining from the four corners, hands and feet, while the child is still alive and aware, and then this blood is drunk ritually by the rabbis. This heinous act has been performed repeatedly for centuries, and this is why the Jews have endured endless pogroms, where Gentiles have massacred entire villages of Jews, have been forcibly expelled from nearly every country of the world except for the United States of America, and have been hated to an extreme by every Gentile race. This is just one. I could go on and on endlessly of the crimes that the Jews have committed and nauseam, but the purpose of this sermon is how all of this ties into the Christian Mass church service. For more about this practice, 200 years of Jewish ritual murder and Jewish ritual murder, I'll direct the links in the description. There was a title of a book I noted on a shelf in the public library written by a Jewish rabbi, and the title was "Two Shall Prosper." This is also in the Bible. This title was in reference to Jews. Nearly everyone is aware of the unbelievable material wealth, success, and power this race has had for centuries. This directly results from the abuse of occult power, and all of this ties directly into Christianity. As I mentioned many times before, the Judeo-Christian Bible is a book of Jewish witchcraft. The verse, their numbers, and so forth. In order to know this, one must know how witchcraft words of power, and most of all the subliminal and the powers of the mind work to bring the operator's intentions to manifest in reality. As with so much of the Jewish workings, that subliminal is used to make the necessary subconscious connection to establish an energy link. One must know about witchcraft and the powers of the mind to know this. This is why the Bible warns and works to frighten Gentiles away from anything really spiritual. "Two shall not suffer a witch to live," and other crap about burning in a lake of fire, etc. In addition, I noted early on that there were curses involved in one using one's power of the mind to prevent this and to frighten those who scare easily away from this sort of thing. Eat me, drink me. The entire theme of the Christian Mass Church service is that of stimulation of a human sacrifice. Most people cannot see this, nor as they are aware of it due to their minds being walled up. The Nazarene with every Mass service is crucified in a blood sacrifice to Jehovah. I remember very well the endless repeated phrases used by the priest so that a connection is established. This is the body of Christ, and that stupid little communion wafer, where the believer eats that body of Christ. Now we know the Nazarene was nailed to that cross, the four corners, no different from Gentile children the Jews use in their sacrifices. This creates the necessary connection that fuels the energies for the Jewish ritual murders, bringing success to the Jewish race, especially that of a vast material wealth. Each and every Catholic Mass for one, and with Protestant the theme is the same. These same verses are drummed into the minds of the congregation over and over and over and over and over. On the night he was betrayed, he took bread and gave it thanks and praise. He broke the bread, gave it to his disciples, and said, "Take this, all of you, and eat it. This is my body, which will be given up for you." When supper was ended, he took the cup. Again, he gave thanks and praise, gave the cup to his disciples, and said, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is the cup of my blood." See the connection? This is bluntly a human sacrifice. People cannot see this because they have been spiritually blinded. I can see all kinds of things as I have knocked down walls in my mind, and I remember just 4 weeks ago when hearing religious Xmas songs blasting over the speakers in the store I was in. It was very blunt to me how these deluded Christian fools were singing for their damnation. To create the necessary distraction and to confuse their victims, the Jews have always pretended to be persecuted by Christians. They pretend to be at odds with Christianity. If one's walls are knocked down, one can see what is there right in front of us every day. The entire Bible has either the word Jew, Jews, Israel, and related written on every page, and with all of these, the Jewish people and their patriarchies are honored and exalted. The Bible follows a subliminal theme in that Gentiles are conquered repeatedly in the Old Testament by the Jews and their God Jehovah. After all of this conquering and enslaving the Nazarene, the long-awaited Jewish Messiah comes on the scene, Jewish from birth to death. For more on this, see Jewish Nazarene. I'll direct the link in the description. A Jewish Nazarene character was invented from a concept that of the serpentine witch trial. To read a full article about this, click here. I'll direct the link in the description again. Again, for working to succeed in many cases, there must be some sort of connection in the mind of the victim. Most Christians cannot see that Jehovah was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. The New Testament goes on with the Nazarene then becoming a human sacrifice, murdered and sacrificed to Jehovah. The murderer's bloodthirsty and sadistic father. In its own twisted way, this translates into the murder of children. Because the mind of a child is in many cases a blank slate in the way of limited personal experiences that shape attitudes and color the personality, children are prime victims. Christianity is notorious for preying upon children, as are angels and of course the filthy kites. They know they can use the energy of children quite freely as there is little or no spiritual resistance. Then the final craft with all of this in the second coming of Christ, which is in truth another hoax designed to channel genital spiritual energies and beliefs through the mass mind into making the coming of the Jewish Messiah into a reality. Quote from the Jewish Talmud, Simeon Hadderson, 456 D. When the Messiah comes, every Jew will have 2,800 slaves. Most people are totally unaware of the above and cannot see this. I already wrote in another sermon concerning how the Jews use occult power. Here, use occult power. I'm gonna read it in a bit. Wait a bit. Come on. Sorry. Here's another appealing and most sickening account of the atrocious abuse of genitals from Jewish-owned and operated slave labor in China. Most of these corporations are in the United States of America and Europe and make enormous profits off of genital slave labor. The Western Jews work on collusions with the Chinese and other Jews of the Far East to viciously abuse and exploit so-called Goyim. A read where some white European Jews visited China and upon entering a synagogue, The Chinese Jews stated, "You do not look like Jews," and the white European Jews replied, "You do not look like Jews either." The Jew is a race within all other races. This is what gives them their power. Quotes from the Jewish Talmud. Nedrach Talp Piot, page 225. L. Jehovah created a non-Jew in human form so that the Jew would not have to be served by beasts. The non-Jew is consequently, sorry, I cannot pronounce it, an animal in human form and condemned to serve the Jew day and night. Simeon Henderson, full 56d. When the Messiah comes, every Jew will have 2,800 slaves. Seth Job 92:1. God has given the Jews power over the possessions and blood of all nations. Hilkot Akum x1. Show no mercy to the Goyim. Joshan Han 388:15. If it can be proven that someone has given the money of Israelites to the Goyim, a way must be found after prudent consideration to wipe him off the face of the earth. A letter from Chinese laborer pleading for help found in Halloween decorations by Jessica Ferry. This letter was found in Halloween decorations purchased from Kmart. Julie Kate was unpacking some of last year's Halloween decorations where she stumbled upon an upsetting letter wedged into the packing. Tucked in between two novelty headstones that she had purchased at Kmart, she found that what appeared to be a letter from the Chinese laborer who had made the decoration pleading for help. Samsung is hot seat over abusing Chinese workers. The letter reads, "Sir, if you occasionally buy this product, please kindly send this letter to the World Human Rights Organization. Thousands of people here who are under the persecution of the Chinese Communist Party government will thank and remember you forever." Our software stated that this letter had been sitting in storage for over a year, and this person has written this plea for help, and nothing had come of it. Julie Kate told Yahoo Shine. Then I was shocked. This person had probably risked their life to get this letter in this package. The letter described the conditions at the factory. People who work here have to work 15 hours a day without Saturday, Sunday break and any holidays. Otherwise, they will suffer torturement, beat and rude remark. Nearly no payment, 10 yuan per 1 month. That translates to about $1.61 a month. The letter was found inside this packaging. Kate, a mom who works at a Goodwill in Portland, Oregon, did some research into the letter. I looked up this labor cam on the internet. Some horrific images popped up, and there were also testimonials about people who have lived through this camp. It was just awful. Horrified, Kate took to Facebook. She posted an image of the letter to ask friends for advice. One responded with a contact at Amnesty International. Kate made several attempts to alert them about the letter, but the organization never responded. With no response from various human rights organizations, Kate took her story to Origin. The reporter, Rachel Stark, got through to Human Rights Watch, but I had no luck. This is not the first time a letter like this has turned up. Just this week, another plea was found written in Chinese on a toilet seat and posted on Reddit. Commenters on the website have questioned the letter's authenticity. To the letter list the address of the specific camp. Officials at the Human Rights Watch were unable to verify the authenticity of the letter. However, Sophie Richardson, China director at Human Rights Watch, told their Origin that the description was consistent with their research. I think I think it is fair to say the conditions described in the letter continually conform to what we know about conditions in re-education through labor camps. The concern over the conditions laborers must endure in China and other countries first came to the public eye in the 1980s with the use of sweatshops to make Nike sneakers. Since then, according to an article recently published in the New York Times, Nike has convened public meetings of labor, human rights, environmental and business leaders to discuss how to improve overseas factories. Tech companies like Apple and Hewlett-Packard are being made to be accountable for their labor practices after receiving a great deal of criticism. Apple is now making public statements that they are aware of the harsh conditions in China and are taking steps to improve them. As for Julie Kate, she had a general idea about the conditions in Chinese labor camps, but this letter has been a dramatic eye-opener into the stark reality of the issue. I was aware of the labor camps. I knew they had factories, but I had no idea of the gravity of the situation. I didn't realize how bad it could be for people. Finding the letter has made Kate more aware of the origin of many products sold in the United States. As I was doing my Christmas shopping this year, I checked every label. It's virtually impossible to avoid purchasing things made in China, as over 90% of our goods are made there. But if I saw made in China this year, I asked myself, do you really need this? In addition to the above, the Jews also make a tremendous profit from selling the organs and body parts of political prisoners in China who have been tortured to death by the Jewish communist system there. The Jew never misses anything where it comes to making a profit. Also, the doors in these factories are bolted shut. Some weeks back in Bangladesh, many workers burned to death. 112 people were killed in a textile factory fire in Bangladesh. The November 24 incident was apparently sparked by an electrical short circuit that eventually sent flames racing through the 9-story building where products sold by the American discounter Walmart, the Dutch fashion chain C&A, and Hong Kong clothing distributor Li and Fung were made. The event was made all the more horrific because workers were trapped in the inferno as stairwells were blocked by rubbish and other materials, and there were no emergency exits. The Bangladesh fire touched a nerve around the world, but such incidents are more routine than is commonly known. Although major retailers such as Walmart Stores Inc., NESE, WMT, and apparel makers such as Nike Inc., NESE, and KA have increasingly taken pains to make sure that the factories of their direct suppliers meet at least minimal safety standards. These suppliers often subcontract to second and third-tier manufacturers whose practices are not closely overseen or regulated by the multinationals. In fact, the large companies that these lower-rung outfits ultimately supply frequently don't even know them. As a result, accidents and fires at these relatively unpoliced plants are endemic. For example, a garment factory fire this month in the southern Chinese city of Shantou claimed 14 lives, although the government officials claimed that a worker disgruntled over wages started the fire. In October, the Chinese State Administrator of Work Safety reported that 45,409 workers died in sorry, 45,409 100 workers died in more than 210,000 workplace accidents in all types of factories during the first 9 months of this year. And in September, as many as 262 garment workers perished in a textile factory blaze whose cause was listed as an electrical shortcut in Karachi, Pakistan. And in June, another 9 garment workers were injured in a fire in Lahore, Pakistan. Even when calamity spares textile workers, the conditions they toil under can be equally separated. In many cases, apparel makers in developing countries offer wages of $100 per month at the high end, although that tiny amount is often reduced by factory owners who underpay without explanation, or by claiming that the employee did not put in the hours that he or she actually worked. For this kind of pay, people of all ages, mostly women, may be asked to work in sweet shops that are distinguished by flammable material from floor to ceiling, locked doors, no fire extinguishers, and physically abusive bosses. Note: although that tiny amount is often reduced by factory owners who underpay without explanation, or by claiming that the employee did not put in the hours that he or she actually worked, many of us know just how all too common this Jewish cheating of hard work employees is in the United States of America. Through the programs of Christianity and Islam, genital energy is going to feeding the Jewish agenda physically, and also through indoctrination in the material world. Genitals fight Jewish wars for them. Genitals are slaughtered and killed so the Jews can thrive. Will the Jews sit back and watch with glee? Genitals pay trillions upon trillions of dollars in free grant money to Israel, reparations for that phony Holocaust, kosher taxes, and much more. While most of us have to budget, make concessions and sacrifices regarding what we can and cannot have go without, and some even work 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. The Jew lives in opulence and profits tremendously. You work, save, scrimp, and deny yourself so that you can live exceptionally well and thrive. As it reads in the Bible regarding the Jews, "You shall prosper." The video below, which I highly recommend everyone sees, is nothing new and bluntly exposes the Jews and how they use occult power, the power of suggestion and the subliminal to make the subconscious connection to manifest their working in reality. The shootings were for the purpose of instituting gun control. I'll direct the link in the description. The United States of America is the only country they have not been forcibly expelled from in country, and the United States of America is Israel's bitch, always supporting Israel, providing troops to be slaughtered, and is a host nation, which they are now at their death grip to work to turn United States of America to communism here. To accomplish their agenda, they have to enact gun control. Their use of occult powers has its roots in their gematria. The 9/11 was another one very blunt. A co-worker some years ago showed me how a $20 bill could be folded a certain way so that on the rear of it, the twin towers going up in a smoke would appear. Look on the internet for this. I don't have the time to search out the websites that have this. All of a sudden, after the 9/11 incident, the older version of the $20 bills where you could fold it that way was taken out of circulation. They fed the public the bullshit story that they were too easy to counterfeit. Well, they disappeared real fast, as too many people knew the deal and how to fold them. The 20 is the most common currency used and circulated in the United States of America. Other include presidential assassinations. I did some research on this a few years back, not about Lincoln, and the names, dates, and the numbers, and how they all come together in a very creepy way, indicating the use of their version of witchcraft. 9/11 is another blatant one. The date that flies, the numbers such as New York City, 11 letters. Just do your own research on this. Then we have the fucking Bible. Nothing but a certain number of books, numbers of verses, and so forth. It is a Jewish book of witchcraft. In the meantime, they have disowned genitals regarding witchcraft and spiritual knowledge. People who believe in the biblical crap and worse, those who slavishly worship that Jew filth, are under the psychic power and control. They are overconfident, and yes, they definitely plan things as they know the power of their workings, and this is another reason for their vast and mind-blowing material wealth. With certain types of magic, a connection has to be made for it to work and to get it going. Extend psychic energy provides the means for them to feed off, and also with that fall Jesus, Messiah of theirs. This creates the necessary mass mind belief and connections so that their Messiah manifests, and then, as our Antichrist stated, will be the funeral wreath of humanity. All pagan priests and spiritual people were masses murdered with the Inquisition and other attacks. The biggest fear for the Catholics is Satan. Belief and acceptance of insanity creates a very important opening on the soul for the enemy. The Jews can then manipulate the actions like a zombie, even though she is not consciously aware of it. As I mentioned before, EMO, the epic of the Trojan War, is an allegory and statement of the Jews as their age-old technique of destroying genitals has always been from the inside, where they not only physically infiltrate but also their Bible, their media, their doctrines, and other lethal shit. It is intermingled in nearly everything. This is how they always have an inside connection, so their magical workings succeed. The video below, which I highly recommend, no, I will read it. Wait. In closing, the suicidal doctrines and teachings that poverty is a virtue and the rejection of the material wealth work to ensure that the Jews prosper and that all wealth and power is in their hands. These suicidal teachings are drummed into the minds of Gentiles from a very early age, making sure they take a root hold and will even last for future lifetimes, ensuring poverty. Quotes from the Jewish Talmud. Seth Jeep 19:2:1. God has given the Jews power over the possessions and the blood of all nations. Shulchan Aruch, Trosan Hamishpat 340. All property of other nations belongs to the Jewish nation, which consequently is entitled to seize upon it without any scruples. Shulchan Aruch, Chosen Hamishpat 156. When a Jew has a genital in his clutches, another Jew may go to the same genital, lend him money, and in turn deceive him, so that the genital shall be ruined. For the property of a genital, according to our law, belongs to no one, and the first Jew that passes has full right to seize it. Behind it all, the Jews are the ones who push Christianity through though they try to deceive the world into believing otherwise. I see this all the time, as I am very aware of it, even with small unimportant things as crossword puzzle books, most are authored by Jewish writers, and there are endless references to Christianity in the filthy Bible, like everyone is supposed to know those filthy Jewish characters and archetypes by rote, like this is supposed to be common everyday accepted knowledge. Here is a blended proof of subliminal use in the media leading up to 9/11. Most people are fully aware that Jews control Hollywood and the media. The above videos prove that the so-called prophecies in the Bible are nothing but a hoax. The Bible is not the book of God, but is a work of the Jews, of which they use subliminality to carry out their curses, some of which are centuries old. One only has to be knowledgeable about the workings of the mind and of witchcraft to see this and to fully understand. The Lone Gunman Pilot 9/11 aired 4th March 2001, 6 months before the World Trade Center attacks. Note 6 months. Thank you for listening, and he'll see you.